What's up guys, it's Rowan here from Artist Smart TV, and in this video you're going to learn how to think less in exams and get better results. That's right, sounds crazy, I know, think less, get better results, but let me prove it to you. Let's jump in and find out how and why. So when I first started driving and learning to drive, I was driving in a manual and I had to think about everything I did, right? Like first gear, second gear, clutch, handbrake, and it was a nightmare, right? Because I was thinking about everything, I was so stressed and overwhelmed. In fact, I was so stressed that for the first 10 hours, I would sweat profusely. And in fact, the entire seat of the car was disgusting, right? It was dripping with sweat. But what's interesting is that as I did more and more driving, I started thinking less. I stopped thinking first gear, second gear, clutch, handbrake. I would just do it. And so you can see driving is a really great example where we think less, and we need to in fact think less to get better at what we do, right? So the same principle really applies for your study. As counterintuitive and as weird as it is, that if you have to get into an exam and you're sitting there and you're really pulling your brain and thinking, you're probably not actually as prepared as you need to be. And so the key is you want to get into the exam, and just like driving the car, right, you want to be able to think less and be able to know what you've got to do. The question, of course, is how can you do this? And so let's find out what you can do with a really powerful strategy to ensure that you can get into an exam and think less. So just like driving, it takes repetition, right? You need to be able to hit a certain levels of repetition so you can think less in an exam. And to do that, we're going to achieve it with something we call the rule of 3 approach. What I want you to do is in the lead up to your exam, to get these reps in so you can get in without thinking, I want you to find a unique question, and in timed conditions, open book for the first time, I want you to write a response, right? And use your notes as guidance and inspiration, right? It's like the first time you're driving with someone there to support you, right? The second time I want you to do this, because it is the rule of 3, what I want you to do is I want you to find a similar, different question though, really, really important, timed conditions, but this time partially open book. I want you to try to do your best, complete it. If you get stuck, have a quick sneak peek, have a look, bring it in. And the third and final time you do this, I want you to do it entirely closed book. Really, really important. Time conditions, new questions, work on it without looking at anything, right? And by now, this is sort of where you've built up to a point, like when you've been learning to drive, whereby you're now being able to do it on your own, which is really important, right? You don't need the support of the person to teach you to drive or your notes in this case. And by doing this, the rule of 3, you're going to build the reps so that I promise you, you're going to get into an exam, you're going to put pen to paper, and you're not going to need to think. You're going to have made that knowledge so powerfully, embedded and encoded in your mind that it's going to come really, really amazingly. And this is something known as unconscious competence. It's the top rung of effective learning, and that's where you need to go. So if you have any questions about this strategy, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear how it goes for you. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. We do videos every single week, and so I will see you next week.